morning, everyone. This is Ryan Ray at Upscale Detail Co., and we're here with
Tyler Wyatt.
And we already kind of been in it. We've just jumped in on already, supernaturally. So just kind of start off with, and I'll actually kind of pull in something that you talked to me about already, was getting better every day.
Yeah.
With your team and how you operate with them. So why don't you kind of incorporate that when you tell me about, what it is that you do, what inspired you to do what you're doing right now?
Yeah. And so I'll fast forward a little bit, and then we can go back.
Definitely.
But if I talk about my team right now, what we do is I've had a lot of time to develop my processes and systems, and I've had great people, great mentors, paid for tons of masterminds. I still to this day pay for masterminds and education. But it's just always pursuing that next level. Like, I like to think of myself as I'm always transcending, I like that word, transcending who I was. And it's funny, and people will come up to you that knew you before, and they'll be like, oh, you've changed so much. Even my mom says that, like, you've changed. And like, they say it in a negative connotation, but I get power from that.
Yeah.
And so one of our, really our vision or our mission in this business is to inspire growth. And that's just another way of saying, get a little bit better every single day. Mm-hmm. Look for 1% better. And the way I do that with my team now is we have a thing we do in our daily chat. We use Discord.
Okay.
And it's really familiar to the younger generation. We used to use Slack in my other business, but we have a channel in there called the Daily Debrief. And so the Daily Debrief, we talk about what went well in your day. So you just post it. You post your numbers for the day, how many calls you made, how many offers you made, or whatever your metrics are per your department. And we talk about what went well, your wins. It doesn't matter if it was like I worked out, I met with someone and made a sale or got a contract, or whatever have you. Wins for the day. Small little wins. It doesn't matter how small. I gave a homeless guy $1. You don't have to. We're not saying you got to push out your generosity,
right.
But generosity is one of our big core values.
Yes.
So if that's a win, that's a win. We're just putting it in a private channel. But the accountability with the 1% better is just that. We have a 1% better under the what went well. And so we use these high performance principles from the Navy SEALs, and my business partner in Connecticut, he really brought this to me, and from a CEO he worked for previously before he came to work with me. And so we pick one of those high performance principles like precise communication, leadership.
Yes.
We pick one of those things, and we find a point in our day where we could say, okay, hey, I didn't tell, Melinda, for example, I didn't say, hey, I need you to go do X, Y, Z by X time. I said, hey, we need this done by today. It's not precise enough. So then when it gets done or it doesn't get done, there's no one. So that's two things on me. That's a leadership and a precise communication. And then for example, my one from last night, we all slip up. So the past 2 weeks I've been shoddy with posting my debrief. And, even the leader, even the top of the top, we believe should lead by example.
Yeah.
And should always do exactly what you expect everyone else to do. So my 1% better last night was, hey, I need to remember commitments. I expect everyone else to hold the standard and report their numbers and their what went wells and their 1% betters every day, but I haven't been doing that, so I owned up to that.
Yeah.
And that's my 1% better. So that's how we do it now. And if I went into how it originated, it's kind of a crazy story. So we'll rewind like 5-6 years back to around 2017 when I first bought the gym. I got in there and I was kind of like, spinning my wheels again, right? Like I felt like I didn't really know what my purpose was anymore, because of the fact my purpose from high school was to own my own gym.
Yeah.
And I thought when I owned my gym, it was going to be an end life goal. And so I was like, I'm 26, I own my own gym, now what?
Now
right?
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like it was mine because I wasn't a founder. I purchased it. I acquired the gym from a mentor of mine that I worked for 4 years, retired Command Sergeant Major, Ranger Regiment. And and so got to the point where I was there in the vision. And now I say this term, bring the vision into the now, but that's a whole nother subject. But the better every day. So I'm there. I purchased the gym. I was running it. I was doing, quote unquote, a good job. And I was like, but I just don't feel like that sense of accomplishment that I thought I was going to feel when I reached that life goal. Like I said, I mean, I thought this was going to be a 10, 20-year goal. I accomplished it in like 3 years working in the industry.
There you go.
Yeah, and so I was ecstatic, but I still felt lost again. And so I met with a mentor. I went and sought after some mentors. I met a guy named Keith, and he was referred to me by one of my clients. He had opened up a gym called Stretch Zone, and he grew it into a big franchise. And so I met with him, and he was like, what do you believe? And I was like, well, I believe in, this exercise science principle and high intensity interval training and progressive overload and,
the micro details.
The granular micro detail. And he's like, no. He stopped me. And he's like, what do you believe?
Yeah.
And I was like, my mind was just kind of like, I didn't know what I believed. Like we discussed earlier, I didn't have set core purpose and core values for my personal life, for myself, to keep me going. Because you're going to get to points where you reach these goals that you've been after, and then you're like, well, what now?
What's next?
Yeah, what's
exactly.
next? My biggest fear now is not setting big enough goals, because I might reach them too soon and then think that I had something left on the table that I could have gave to the world, or I could have served people in a greater capacity, right? So I started writing. I was typing all these notes at night. I was staying up. Probably 3 weeks straight, I probably slept 2 hours a night. I was going crazy, trying to figure out what do I believe, asking myself over and over. And one day, full candid, vulnerability here, I was getting out of the shower and I just broke down crying, and I was just like, what am I doing? And then
My God.
my girlfriend at the time, and my now, fiance, and we have kids together.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So she texted me, and I still had the text saved in my phone, and it was a super long text about, you need to give yourself more credit, all the good stuff, and just everything you want to see in a supportive partner that you need to be a high performer.
Yeah.
And to accomplish all your goals. But she said one line in there, said, you help people get better every day. And I just started repeating better every day. And I had been studying Nike, Sam's Club, all these, Under Armour, Disney, trying to figure out that perfect, what do I believe? What's my mission statement? And then it just came there, God presented it to me through her, and it was just powerful. I just kept repeating it. I felt like, what is it? I don't know if y'all know this because y'all are younger, but Jerry Maguire, Show Me the Money. I don't know. It's a old movie, but I think it's Tom Cruise and Cuba Gooding Jr., but y'all should definitely look it up. But I was just better every day, and it just became the mantra. We had on bracelets, we had it posted on the wall, and it was just better every day, better physically, better mentally, better emotionally, better spiritually, better father, better mother, better brother, better whatever. Just do one little thing every single day to just get a little bit better, and then it's just snowballed from there. And that was, like I said, 5-6 years ago, 2017. So that's kind of
amazing.
where the better every day came from, and how I hold the team accountable now in the new business,
Right.
in the real estate business, to uphold that. So
That is awesome, man. And I'm gonna kind of take it back to when you said that your mother said how different you were.
yeah,
And there was a negative connotation there. And I feel like some people might get a little confused when they hear that because maybe they haven't opened up their eyes to what their potential is.
Yeah.
Maybe they haven't recognized, and I don't think it's for everybody.
Yep.
I don't think it's for everybody.
and it's a suppression, societal suppression. I would even go as far as to say, and I know you've probably heard this, but societal conditioning.
Yeah.
It's like we grow up, and as we're kids, we have these big dreams of like, I know I used to say, I want to be the president of the United States, or like an astronaut, or something just crazy big.
Yeah.
And then your parents, whether it be your parents, maybe not, your brothers, your sisters, your grandparents, teachers, coaches, whoever it is, friends, aunts, uncles, and they say, you need to be more realistic. Yeah.
Be more real. Get a
Be
job
more
at
realistic.
Walmart.
Yeah. You need to go get a good job, white picket fence, buy a car, buy a house, have some kids, and be happy. And that was the American dream. That was it, right?
Yeah.
It was it. But we act like we haven't progressed as a society. We talk about better every day. This society is moving forward. And if you're stuck in that old ideal, you're going to be left behind.
Exactly. The world we were raised for no longer exists.
Exactly.
And it's all about keeping up with what is going on right now and how are you going to do that. And if you're leading a team of people, how are you going to lead efficiently? Like you said, using those systems that you put in place, finding out what processes really work, and keeping your team accountable, and making sure that you hold yourself and allow your team to hold you accountable. Setting that example. Not all leaders lead by example anymore. It's a really, really rare personality trait to find leaders who lead by example or are even present.
It's tough. It's tough because the goal of a leader is to help other people get what they want and put their subordinates in their position.
Yeah.
So the transition I think people struggle with, especially older business owners that I've spoken with in the past and mentors, is like they feel stuck because they never either wanted to relinquish that power, or they never got away from, okay, me not leading by example doesn't necessarily, or me not being present doesn't necessarily mean I always have to be there. And that's where I used to think about legacy a lot. And I used to think about legacy being assets that I leave to my kids, money,
Right.
different things like that. But nowadays, I keep notes in my phone that I'm building and pretty much writing all the core lessons I learned in my life. And the note is called legacy, and I categorize it in different ways. But I want to leave this just dictionary almost of my life to my kids and my grandkids, so they can not just, like we talked about earlier, not just hear it once or twice from me, but they can read about it and see where the lesson came from, what the lesson was, and utilize it or don't.
How they can apply it, exactly.
How they can apply it, utilize it or don't. If you utilize it, you will avoid these mistakes that I made, and you will get this success that I've had, or you will just have more joy and happiness in your life, if you just follow these things, because those are all things that I reflect deeply on. And again, we can never connect the dots moving forward, only moving backwards. So legacy to me these days is more about, and even in business, right, and how we step out, but still leave our presence, I would say. I need to write that down. Is we leave those core values, the core mission. And even my team, I say, hey, look, I want you to hold me accountable too.
Yeah.
So like if I made a decision, or I am in the process of making a decision or a statement or telling you to do something that goes against what I've set expectations for and boundaries for as the core values of this company and my person and who I am, and I'm going against that, and you see that, call me out right then.
Pull me back, man. Yeah,
Yes.
rope me in.
And
We're
they
human.
do, and I love that, and they do, and I'll be like, you're right. And I'll change the decision right there. And it's so powerful. You know, and it's for them, and it's for the company and the
Right.
greater good and for my family, but it's, you know, it's for me too.
Exactly.
Like, because I realized early on trying to run the gym by myself, it's like, yeah, I could do it, but burnout is a real thing. Like,
Burnout is a real
I
thing.
also value other currencies other than money. Attention, time, influence and impact, energy, you know, relationships. Those are all currencies we trade in. There could be other currencies too. You know, you could trade in currencies of joy and happiness and fulfillment. And we can't just granularize things into one currency, because it just puts you into a box.
Right.
You know, it's like I forget who said the quote, but you know, if you try to, I think it was Einstein, if you try to get a fish to climb a tree, he will always feel basically less than, or like he's dumb,
Yeah.
or just incompetent. Right. So, yeah, definitely powerful. The leadership thing is huge, and knowing when to step out, when you can, when to place someone else into your position. It's hard, and so that's why I'm always seeking up higher counsel. You know, I never know enough. Like, always back to the 1% better. Always trying to grow and educate myself and learn from people who are doing what I would like to be doing, or where I would like to be. So it's huge.
That's good, and that almost answers my question, or at least, you know, in a sense it does. It was, you know, what decisions have you made that are really impacting the business in the past year, and where do you see yourself going in 2024?
I'm gonna answer your question, but I'm big on answering things in roundabout
Good,
ways.
man. I like it.
Let's go back to when I purchased the gym in 2017. I thought I was gonna work out with my friends, make money, and just live in the gym.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't have kids. I wasn't engaged or anything like that. Like, super committed to anyone. It was just me. And I got punched in the face by life and business, and I realized I barely had time to train myself. I purchased a business that was making over $100K and already had like 4 employees. And the only thing I had ran prior to that was like my own little lawn care business. You know, I had done blue collar work my whole life. I went to nursing school. My parents wanted me to do that, and I'm not an inside person. I got to be moving around.
Yeah.
I got to be hands on. And so I was just, again, like, oh, what now? So my next what now was I had to learn marketing, sales, taxes, accounting, managing a team, recruiting, hiring, firing people, and it was, you know, reading income statements, reading balance sheets, like all the things I never once considered when you have the vision of like, oh, I want to own my own business. I want freedom. You actually have less freedom when you own your own business. And so I realized that, but I dug in. And I hired mentors in marketing and sales to coach me. I sought after tax accountants and people to teach me, you know, tax and accounting and bookkeeping and things like that. And I wanted to touch it first before I passed it off to someone else. I wanted to learn it. And I'm moving along, I'm learning, I'm growing, and then I'm like, okay, I'm feeling into this. I love coaching people, helping people get better every day, the mission. And I was like, man, I'm really kind of falling in love with this like input output thing of like, okay, I can tweak this just a little bit, these numbers here, these KPIs, these key performance indicators. I say KPIs like everybody should know. These key performance indicators that are going to move the needle here. And I was like, okay, this is kind of like a game, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, what's another game I could play? Because I started learning about multiple income streams, and I was like, all right, I got the gym business, everything's going good, and then I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and they just so happened, I don't know, they somehow planned this so perfectly. I want to get to this level of marketing and sales, but finished reading the book on Audible or listening to the book, and next thing you know, there's a seminar coming to Columbus, free seminar. So I go to that, and I start learning about real estate investing and all the different strategies, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is like a next level type thing for me, and I'm always
Looking for that
looking
level
for
up.
that next level.
Better every day.
Yeah, better every day. And so I'm like, you know what? I had a good operations manager. I used to do a mentorship for special forces guys, or they don't like to be called special forces, soft guys, Ranger Regiment, and different communities like that. Just top 1% of the 1%ers, just super high respect, super disciplined, work ethic through the roof, super great values, just everything that aligned with me. And so I would take these guys, and a lot of them get out of the military, and they don't have the capacity to have self-directed goals and schedules, and all that's done for them. When they work out, when they eat, what their mission is, what their values are. Like,
so they can do it.
Yeah, they're high performers.
But who's creating that?
Who's creating that?
Right.
Yes. So I take them in. I had a partnership with Care Coalition, and they would send me these guys, and I would mentor them, in my own way, and teach them how to self-direct goals and keep a schedule, buy them a journal or a planner, and help them do that. And this one guy, we became good friends. I ended up hiring him. I coached him up to be a trainer. Long story short, we'll get into this, but ended up coaching him to break the world record for most pull-ups in 24 hours.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was one of the greatest experiences ever. It took us 14 months to train for, but we'll sidebar that. It's like a side quest thing. And so back to your question, I was learning all that, got into real estate, and then I'm moving along. I tell him, I'm like, hey, look, you manage the gym. I'm going to start the real estate business. We were doing good, and then I learned a good business lesson. It's like, don't try to pull someone from one business sector to another. And like, because he wanted to partner with me on that, and I was like, fine, and then we'll partner on the gym, and it was going to be cool, great, grand. And then, we did our first flip while we were training for the pull-up record. And we kind of went sideways on our original plan. We were going to do a marketing sales company, real estate, generating the leads first for the properties, for the off-market properties, and then build up capital and a system, and then start flipping or buying and holds. That's kind of what my mentors had taught me. And he had money in an IRA, and we kind of went that route and flipped it ourselves. We kind of got, my words, I say this, we got a little greedy. Instead of making 10K now, we could make 20K later, and ended up taking us a lot longer. We got a lot of great lessons, but we kind of split ways on that. And I paused the real estate investing. This was in 2018, and the year after I bought the gym. So I'm like diving in.
Yeah.
And so let's fast forward a little bit. 2020 comes along, COVID, and I never have uncertainty. I'm a very certain person, and I can portray certainty to people. And I believe that is what people look for with security. Like, I will figure this out.
Yeah.
No matter what, I'm going to figure this out. Like, and so COVID was one of those things where like nobody really knew what was going to happen.
Everything's up in the air.
And what were they trying to do? Shut gyms down, right? So we were in the line of fire there. I didn't know if I was going to have a business by the end of 2020. And so I started paying for some education and I had been studying crypto markets for a while, since 2017 bull market, and I saw the opportunity in the COVID crash, so I put some of the money we made from the flip property into crypto and pretty much self-educated and learned from mentors, learned how to trade crypto,
Awesome.
DeFi, and got into that realm, learned about world financial markets from that realm, and just furthering my education. But I had sidebarred the real estate business, and then I still had the gym. We survived COVID, and the gym still exists today, and so that was a great accomplishment, just surviving that.
Yeah.
I had learned a new skill, how to trade cryptocurrencies, and I felt like that was a valuable skill moving into the future and moving into where we're going with those things even now. And I just couldn't help but feel as though I had left, like I said, I want to set big enough goals to where I don't leave anything on the table. And I kind of felt like the real estate thing was unfinished. That goal of building that real estate marketing and sales company, and that's being able to have properties and, passive income for the future.
Yeah.
But I know it's all about buying right. So I went back in 2021, started up a new S Corp, and I was like, I'm going to go back into building up that real estate business. But I was like, I know that I can't do it on my own, right? So I was like, I need someone to partner with. I just had always been told, and we talk about societal conditioning, partnerships are bad, blase, blase, right?
Right.
Partnerships are bad, don't ever get into partnerships, they always end badly. I had a partnership that ended badly, and we're not badly personal relationship wise, but it didn't work out.
Disagreeing and whatnot, right?
Disagreements. But I looked at that retrospectively, connecting the dots, and I was like, okay, relationships also end badly. I've been there due to what? Lack of communication. Yes.
Got to be transparent with people.
So transparency and communication, two new core values going into the new business model, and partnership. I read the book Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman, and he states that the biggest and best companies in the world are ran by two owners, a visionary and an integrator. And I was like, that's it. I'm the visionary. I can come up with the ideas and paint the picture and get everybody fired up and inspired and help and guide people. And I know everything not to do. I don't know every single thing about real estate investing business, but I know enough. I've paid for enough mentorships, education, blueprints, masterminds to have that starting point.
Yes.
And I had already done a flip and, with my other partner. And so I set my reticular activating system as a part of your brain that just, it helps you focus and not get distracted. So you set that in your mind, this is what I want, and then you'll start noticing like that red truck. Oh, I want one of those red, those new red Tacomas or whatever. And then you're like, nobody has one in town. Start seeing it all the time. And that my grandmother, she used to say it in her own way, that's just how your brain works. And I'm like, dang, my grandmother was like wise beyond her even knowledge of herself. So I studied all the science behind all that over the years. But bringing it home is I was on Facebook one day in an investor group, and I saw this guy, and he posted and he said, I want to switch careers. I'm an operations manager at a kidney transplant company. The owner built up a multi-billion-dollar company, exited, now he started this kidney transplant company, and I'm working under him. I started from the bottom, now I'm operations manager. He was 24 at the time. I was like, dang, this kid's rock star.
Yeah.
And I commented on there, and I was like, hey, let's hop on a call. Boom, we hop on a call. It was a Saturday. We talked for 3 hours. I had like a family barbecue going, and I was just like, I got to talk to this kid. And we hit it off. We met on Zoom every single morning after that at 8 a.m. before he went to work. And I was like, look, if you help me build the back end of this business, all the things that I could do, but I'm just not going to, I'm not as good at, and he enjoyed doing, and he was phenomenal at, the operations,
the
integration of things. He could take my vision, put it on an Excel spreadsheet or a lucid chart or something like that, like a mind map, and just make it visual.
Real life, yeah.
Yeah, and has experience managing a high performance team, and they did, they were at, I think, 10 million when he left, and they were heading towards 50, or they were at 10 million, went to 30 million, and then they were heading towards 50 million and to 100 million. And so he was like, I'm just going to quit my job. And I was like, don't quit your job.
Yeah, man.
Like, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I have a proven process, but it's not built yet.
Yeah.
And, but I was like, but I'll give you 50% of all the profits. And if we work well together for, 3 to 6 months, I'll make you a 50-50 partner in the company.
Boom.
We've been together now for over a year, and it's been absolutely phenomenal.
Good.
I learned from my failed relationships that 2 big key things. If I said, if you want to make sure you have more joy and happiness in your life, do these 2 things. I would say set expectations up front with people, and boundaries.
Yeah.
And hold to them. And those 2 things are powerful. And I would say those 2 things, along with bringing him on, like partner,
right,
and a trusting, communicative, giving away. Like, I could have did it all myself and had 100%,
right,
like hold it all. But again, going back to what I said, my belief is what a true leader is to help other people get what they want.
Absolutely.
And I believe in a rising tide lifts all boats. So if I could help him and mentor him, he wouldn't have to pay and go through all the trials and tribulation that I went through, and we could elevate faster together, and go farther as well. So yeah, I would say my biggest thing this year or over the past year in business, was that bringing on a partner and setting expectations, setting boundaries, bringing the core values to the forefront, using all my knowledge of where I messed up and the things that I knew to do the right way, up front with this new business. And we've scaled exponentially over the past year.
Exactly.
Like from 0 to, I think we cleared about 305 to 320. I don't know the exact number. But, first marketing campaign officially in October of 2022. We spent about $2,500 on direct mail, and we've scaled to, 300,000, over 300,000 cleared in 2023, and we're shooting to an aggressive hiring plan in 2024 and scale to 5 million. Boom. For 2024. Boom. And then 15 million over the next 2026, by 2026.
That's awesome, man.
So, yeah, that's what we're trying to do right now.
So it took those failures, though, to get you to the point where you knew in this startup to be transparent. When you're looking for a partner, I got to set those expectations. I think Jared and I kind of went through that in the beginning, where he was a new business owner, where he had 4 businesses prior to this, but unfortunately weren't fully successful. And this one, taking it off the ground, I come in 6 months later, just detailing. And I'm that integrator for him. And he's that visionary. And that's where we've always said it was, he's thinking up and out, and I'm thinking down and into the business.
Powerful.
Love the micro details. But kind of where we shifted, where we have our strong suits, was I was pumping out the systems and processes for, essentially in a way of, he had a baseline and a standard, and he had a way to operate. But I took that, you apply those micro details, you do that research, you do what it takes, and you figure out what's going to be the best for the business, what's going to make our team the most efficient, who's going to hold them accountable. And granted, things were messy. I mean, it was the beginning for both of us. I'm 22, he's 28. And even at that, it's spending over a decade in the Army for him, that being all he knows, and then just diving headfirst into the business, it is something where we're more seasoned than we were, 2.5 years ago. But we're thankful for that. And I know that is going to lead to so many opportunities in the future. You just have to go through those trials and tribulations first.
Huge. Every failure is a step towards your success. And we say this, that, you know, I do a lot of sales coaching nowadays in my new business. I do a lot of sales trainings with my team every morning. That's why we had to schedule this for 10.
Right.
Because I do a daily huddle every morning for 15 minutes. We all get together on Zoom. You don't have to be at the office, but you got to show up on Zoom with your camera on. You got to state what you're grateful for from the day before, or your wins from the day before, your numbers, and then, you know, what your plan is, your plan of action for today. It's just real quick. Everybody go around the room. All right, cool. Then we jump straight into sales training. And then so I coach them up on sales training. And we do call reviews, we do role play. You know, I'll do some mindset or some process training. I'll teach them about behavioral science and, you know, what makes us tick. I've got a lot of experience in psychology and neuroscience. From at a certain point as a trainer, I was like, okay, I can learn to this ceiling of exercise science and kinesiology. But how do I keep people in the gym for that stuff to work, right? So then my next level as a coach and as a trainer was, I need to learn psychology and what makes us tick. So then that's also been another skill set that I've been able to stack on and carry over into the new business, right? So it's just like a constant compounding effect of just learning. And again, I'm from 3rd Avenue in Columbus,
here
like
in Columbus,
in the ghetto of Columbus. Like I grew up, there's prostitute houses and, you know, drug dealers across the street. We basically came from nothing. My dad was a mill worker. My mom was a home health care nurse, and, you know, they gave us, you know, the opportunity, and they gave us everything, and sacrificed so much. And that now one of our big core missions, not just to inspire growth, but in this business, is to provide a platform for possibilities and for opportunities. So you can, just like our parents kind of propped us up, hey, look, see over this wall, right? You can see there's something else out there. We don't know what it is because we can't see it, but we can prop you up, you know, and you can see it. And my partner, you know, we came together with that, and he's from Brazil. His mom was a single mother, and it was him and his mom and his sister. His mom sacrificed and worked and got them to America. She propped them up for possibilities, right? So we're going to provide a platform for other people to show them what else is out there and what they can accomplish.
That's amazing, man. You know, just sometimes our parents are making those sacrifices, and we can make positive things out of that. Like I spoke about earlier, was, you know, accepting that you can't help the situation you were born into, but making the best out of it, understanding that there's so much more out there. It's a hard thing. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it feels amazing when you're hitting those milestones. And part of that discipline that you were talking about earlier, I could tell, you said it without saying it, that you're creating those deadlines. You have to give yourself deadlines for everything that you want to accomplish.
Like specific, by noon today, I need this, right? And I never used to be, I used to think like, oh, I don't want to be that boss, right? I don't want to be that guy who's like, there's a certain level of it that it's causing you suffering to not be that guy or to not be that boss or that owner. Like if you're not like, hey, I need this answer by 12 p.m. today. And I'm not going to throw a threat in there or say like, you know, or we got a problem. It's just like, I need this by this time.
This is what it takes, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just something that I had to grow into, you know. And Andre, my partner, he helped me a lot with that because that's what he was used to in big corporate.
Yeah.
And that was so valuable to me, and why I was willing to give up 50% of my business off rip to this guy I'd never met in person, because I saw the value
in that person.
The value in him and the experience that he has had working his way up in big corporate, you know, like under a CEO that built a $1 billion company and exited. Like I was like, this guy's got experience that I just can't even fathom, right? But I've got experience that he needs. And so we can trade and come together, and just, it's been phenomenal. It's been, you know, besides meeting my fiance and having our kids, it's been one of the best decisions, in my life, for sure.
It's amazing.
It's
man.
huge.
Yeah, that's the bright future for you guys.
Yeah.
Very bright future for you guys. I wanted to check in, Jerry. Do we have any questions at that time? That's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But man, this has been awesome. This has been awesome. Just listening to, and do you mind me asking, so how old are you right now?
Don't keep up with my age. I have to ask my significant other, but I think I'm 91, so I'm 33, 32 or 33.
No
yeah,
kidding.
33. Yeah, I think I turned 33 this year, actually. But yeah, somewhere in the early 30s. Somewhere
Gotcha.
around. Yeah. There's things that I just avoid these days, just like watching the news, tracking my age. I mean, like she plans my birthdays, and like
Right.
I'm blessed for that. But to me, birthdays are just another way to just track closer to like your death, or like you're just another excuse to just get older, when I believe that, and I know from science and from my study of neuroscience, we can create new neuroplasticity, new thought pathways when you think in new ways to the day you die. So your brain can stay young to the day you die if you pursue that. Now your body will get older and deteriorate, but that's why I train.
Yeah.
I train just for longevity. So me tracking my age is irrelevant, because I will just perform as long as I will, and as long as I can.
That's awesome. Doing those things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Building up that ability to go that extra mile.
Constantly doing hard things, and I think a lot of people confuse hard things. It's like, I got to go out there and flip this tire for a mile. It's not what I mean. I mean, there's a phone call you might need to make that you've been avoiding. Yeah. There's a task that you've been avoiding that's maybe has a hard conversation involved. Maybe you need to fire someone that's, that hasn't been upholding the core values of your company, or maybe they're a great performer, but, they haven't been upholding the values.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to fly, because it's going to bleed over, because when you let the standard slip, it becomes the new standard.
Yeah.
So life is full of hard challenges, and the people that avoid them become suppressed, and they become prisoners of their own mind, I believe, and have mental suffering that they created for themselves. And the people that address things head on and move forward in life, and constantly look at the silver lining, and not think that circumstances are what they are. They can be manipulated, and not in a bad way, negative connotation to manipulation, but manipulation can be a positive
just to
thing.
alter.
Yeah, to alter something in a favorable way to you or your family or to the people around you. So it's huge. I'm too deep of a thinker.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's what it takes as a visionary, and even your integrator, they've got to match you on some level with that, or they're not going to understand you. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be able to perceive that.
And that's that communication factor, constantly meeting. We have weekly meetings we call, Gino Wickman also wrote a book called Traction. It's the entrepreneurial operating system. And so we run that system in our business currently. And we have weekly L10s. What we call them is just high-level meeting that you have to have with your executives. And right now, we're the only two executives currently. So we meet every Wednesday from, I think, 9:30 to about 12 p.m.
Okay.
And we talk about wins, from the past week. We have an issues list that we've been building. We don't like, and this was a big thing for me, because I don't like issues being brought to me unless they're like a big fire, that needs to be addressed right then. If it's like a small little frivolous issue, you're busy, I'm busy, we're all busy. Write it down, bring it to the issues list in the weekly meeting. I don't like it to be, because we'll have an hour conversation about it, and we may or may not come to a conclusion on it, and we wasted an hour where we could have been making calls or talking to customers or training our employees. There's a time and a place, and again, boundaries and expectations. So huge. We review financials in that meeting, just the whole nine. So awesome. It's huge, and just sticking to those things, because this is we're not some might say, and people have said this in the past, of the way I used to try to treat the gym is like, you treat the gym like it's some Fortune 500 company. And my thing is like, if you don't start, you can't just jump to this way of doing
No,
things.
man,
We're
you gotta-
adaptive creatures. We have
Yeah.
to slowly add on this new this new stimulus, and we adapt to it, and then we can add another level.
Yeah.
And so I need to start running it this way now.
Set those standards early.
Yeah, right now. Because how will I ever run a Fortune 500 company
If I don't
or
treat it like
will it
one.
be one if I don't treat it as if?
Absolutely. And that was part of our vision, is build it and they will come.
Mm-hmm.
So you're setting those standards, and it's not every detail shop's doing what we do. Not everybody's setting the standards. Not everybody's trying to give that luxury feel behind it, or have that personable touch, or communicate with you, transparency, keep you up to date throughout the process.
Yeah.
Pictures, videos.
Huge.
So those big things make a difference.
They
And
do.
even how people look at you and how you publicize your business, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And I've noticed ever since Jared started, when he was doing like house calls, he was posting on social media.
Yeah.
And I could tell just from his videos and what he would do, and because I'm big on this as well, and I notice these things, is the level of attention to detail. And that's huge, It's for, I think at Louis Vuitton, he said, the only way to make luxury margins is in luxury products. So like, when I got to the real estate investing business, I'm like, okay, I have a level, I could take this gym to $1 million a year, but then I got to open another one to do another $1 million a year gym, and it's just going to take a lot out of me, right?
Right.
But I could apply these lessons and these skill sets. I feel as though I have and this is nothing against, like, I was passionate. That's my passion. I love fitness. I love helping people, coaching people, training people. I'm just doing it in a different way now, different capacity. I was like, okay, I got a level 10 skill set. This is the way I felt. I have a level 10 skill set. And actually, one of my mentors kind of got me to this, helped me come to this conclusion. Level 10 skill set and a level 2 vehicle. I need to take this level 10 skill set and add it to a level 10 vehicle, and then I can have exponential growth.
Yeah.
So that was another reason I got into, the real estate investing realm, because 1%, or I think it's, and all statistics are pretty much made up, but 99% or 90% of millionaires, first generation millionaires, are made in real estate. So I was like, okay.
So that's where you're
Easy
in.
transition.
Yeah, easy transition,
Yeah.
man. That's awesome.
And I've done all blue collar work. Been, on my way up, my parents, we come from that realm of like, we didn't have the luxury of the money to afford to just go and just pay for things to be fixed.
Right.
We had to do it ourselves. We had to fix our own vehicles. We had to fix our own, if the plumbing went out, or if the house needed flooring or paint or what, like, I've done all the work. So I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I tell people, I'm like, the only person that I do hard labor or like contracting work for, physically me now,
Yeah.
is my significant other.
Yeah,
So,
family, man.
yeah, that's the only person. Because everybody's like, they see my work that I do at my own house for her, and they're like, can you come do my house? And I'm like, I would love to, but I have this rule where I only do that work for her.
Yeah.
So, but I can send someone out to do it.
I know a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you the
I
business
got a
card
crew,
right now.
but it's funny. But yeah, man, I could go on for hours. Like I said,
Fair enough. Yeah.
I like to think of it in this season of my life, like I told you before we started filming, is my superpower is just talking with people in conversations. And I feel like people need that more than ever.
They do.
To listen, have someone that listens and, can give feedback or not, or know when to do that, and just being a great conversationalist. And helps me in sales, helps me in business, helps me in networking. It's just huge. And I'm really leaning into that in this season of my life, in this business.
That's good. You're still setting that example, even for clients. And like you said, it's helping you in sales, and having that impact even on people that are watching right now is they could accomplish this.
Absolutely.
If they apply themselves.
Yeah.
They could
Because
accomplish this.
like I said, I mean, from where I came from, like, you would have never bet your last dollar on me to be here. I would have never guessed that I'd be running a real estate business.
Yeah.
Like, I never would have guessed that I would have owned a gym at 26, and then never would have dreamed I would have got into crypto markets. Didn't even know it existed when I was like, you know, nobody knew it existed. And so God has a plan for you, and I like to think, and I know this, I don't like to think this, if we knew what the plan was, or like the path to get there,
Yeah.
to the vision, we wouldn't even make the first step.
We wouldn't take it.
No, because
No.
it'd be so scary and so much doubt and insecurity, which most people have because they think they have to have the plan figured out. But just, I guess if I finalize the thought with like one piece of advice, it's just do it. Nike has the best slogan. Just do it. Just take that first step. It can be scary. There's unknowns, but if you feel something, I like to say this, if you have the thought, that's God letting you know that it's yours. Mm-hmm. And when you take the first step towards it, that's how you receive it in reality. Wow. It's like if you've ever thought something, or like, man, I want to be this, or I've just always envisioned myself as, you know, a professional athlete, or, you know, whatever your grandiose dream is, I would say just, you'll never know unless you try.
Try. Where's your starting point?
Why is that there?
Yeah.
Like, you know, what am I here for? You know, questions like that and can really be eye-opening.
Is it one day, or is this day one?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And you'll never know until you do it.
Until you do it.
And I think a big thing in this Gen Z, X, millennial, is that we expect it to just be great after a year or two, or 3 or 4 or 5, when sometimes it might take 10 of just doing that same thing over and over, you know, like continuously tweaking it, getting better. And one day you wake up and your mom says you're a completely different person. You know,
Yeah.
Back to that, like, and everybody around you, like, you don't even recognize the life you're living because it's so much like what you had envisioned, but so much different.
To me, because I've had family tell me, you know, how different they saw me, that was an accomplishment for me because I was so
Yes.
aware of where I was at. It was such an accomplishment. It felt great. You know, it's like, I don't want you to take that the wrong way. Mm-hmm. But when you tell me I look different, good.
Exactly. Good. Yeah. I love that.
You know, and well, what do you mean good? You know, don't forget about us. You still, yeah, absolutely. I'm here with you. You're my family. I will never forget where I came from. I know exactly who I am, but good. Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah. And I say that too, good, because that's my goal. I hope I'm different next year. I hope I'm different tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have to work on myself every single day, you know, to not go back to the old me or the old habits, the old self, procrastination, doubt, you know, belittling yourself, like the negative self-talk, like, those are things it's not like you just end up in this position and then you just are there, right? I heard someone say recently that, you know, it takes hard work to get to the top, and it takes even harder and more obnoxious amounts of work to stay
at the top.
And I would say that not even just about like being a high performer or being at the top of whatever your field is, it's just like being a better person.
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's hard to, like, I'm from my past. If you looked at my past, you'd probably say that I'm like a bad guy trying constantly to be good. But I think there's power in that too, because I acknowledge that I'm not perfect, and I've had a bad past, and I'm always working on myself daily. Who am I? Who am I not? Who do I want to be portrayed as? You know, how do I want to show up for my kids, for my family? You know, how do I want to show up for Caitlin? How do I want to show up for my team? I don't just wake up and I am that.
Yeah.
I become that every single day. And so I think people think that they just need to be something all the time.
Yeah.
And that's just a misconception.
It is. I think those are the wins that I'm able to celebrate. I wish I could celebrate with someone where they knew, you know, my past and how dark or bad of a past that was, or how people could have considered me bad. And now people may not even take the time to acknowledge that. I know it. I'm happy with that, and I just have to celebrate that win alone.
Yeah.
But it feels good knowing, you know, I'm at least 1% better than
Absolutely.
I was.
And you have to celebrate alone sometimes. This journey it can be lonely, you know, and that's why it's great to have a partner that you can vibe with and celebrate those things with. And, you know, I actually have a mastermind that I just joined recently called the Well Club, and it's a ton of different investors all across the country, big investors, and we don't talk anything about real estate. We talk about life, goals, and, you know, we talk about the better every day, but in this mastermind where we just celebrate these things that nobody else can relate to. It's hard to even find people locally who can relate on this level, but we talk about closer versus more. How do we get closer to our goals rather than just always ending up of like, we need more revenue, we need more locations, we need bigger team, I need more things to be fulfilled and satisfied. But really, none of that material does it. So how do I get closer to my vision? And it's an open-ended, forever question, right? Like, okay, we can reduce expenses. You know, we can spread the workload out to fewer people, like, and business-wise. And that's where I came up with that, you know, to bring the vision into the now. It's like, okay, how can I do that? How do I get closer? Yeah. And then it's weird. Things just start happening. Opportunities just start presenting themselves. It's crazy. It's always been like that, though. Each new, you know, level.
You're shifting that perspective.
Yeah.
That's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that's all it's going to take for this next generation is just shift your perspective. Just shift your perspective, because I would never see myself where I'm at today, even 4 years ago.
Yeah. Shoot, I saw a Facebook memory. This is one of the good things about Facebook. They give you these memories, and it's like a retrospective moment. I saw I took like a mirror selfie or something, and it brought me back to that time, and I think it was 12 years ago, maybe 11 years ago. Yeah, 11 years ago, and it was yesterday that I saw it. And I was like, man, at that time, I used to say things to myself like, I wonder if I'll ever have a family, or like my own house, or like any of those things, right? And now I've got 2 beautiful kids and 5 acres out in Fortson with horses and a gym, and just like so many blessings, and just, again, we just never would have expected it.
Yeah.
As the person that we were. I think there's another Einstein quote that says, you can't solve your current problems with the same level of thinking that you think now. So you can't solve your current problems with the same level of thinking that you now think.
That change, if you want anything to change in your life, the first thing that has to change is you.
Yeah.
If there's anything you're not understanding, if there's anything that you're not able to conquer, if there's anything that you just can't seem to get over, you got to look inside. You got to stop trying to look for something else. Stop trying to blame it on people. Stop trying to just push it off. Just look inside. Make a way.
Every day before school, when I take my daughter to school, we talk about instilling those core values and things. Is one of the things that I get her to do. We play this game where I'm questioning her, but I kind of give her the answers to the test, right? Like, what is the key to happiness? Ask her things like that, and I tell her, laugh often, breathe deeply all day, every day. Keep your head and chest up, even when you're sad. Smile often, just little things like that. And then, I talk to her about integrity, doing the right thing, authenticity, always being yourself, having confidence, believing in yourself, just simple little things. But one of the big things, going off of what you just said, is I tell her that your personality creates your personal reality. And then I say, what does that mean to you? Because that's really deep for a 6-year-old.
Yeah, wow.
And I say, do you believe your personal reality creates your personality? And she says yes, because she knows that's what she's supposed to say. And I say, what does that mean to you? And she goes, I don't know. You get what you focus on. You become what you think about most. And so that I simplify it for her. Like, if you think about bad things will happen. If you think about good things will happen. And that's just as simple as I get with her. Like, so it's, again, repetition. Like, and maybe one day she'll look back and she'll say, I never really knew what my dad was talking about, but he did it every single day. So it had to be important to him. So now that he's gone, it's important to me. Hopefully,
and hang on to that.
Get me a little bit emotional, but yeah, hopefully. Yeah. I can only hope for that. But yeah.
Well, I hate to jump out of it. I'm not sure where we're at on time, man.
Dude,
but
we're good.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. I mean, as often as y'all want to have me on, I'm down. Like, I'm just open conversation. We don't even got to talk about business. Just this is type of stuff that gives me energy.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Meeting with like-minded people, growth-minded people, and just people that are trying to uplift others and help the community. So I love that, and I appreciate that.
And I appreciate you for being here today. And just to kind of help support you in any way that we can, is there anything that you want to tell anybody watching right now that could kind of point them in the direction for
absolutely.
supporting
if you
we
got an office right over here off Warm Springs Road, 2419 Warm Springs Road. You can come see us. If you know someone or if you need to sell a home, reach out to us. Any type of property. We purchase land, single-family homes, apartment complexes, trailer parks, mobile home parks, storage facilities, pretty much any real estate. And we buy and sell real estate. So
awesome.
Anything. Got someone? Give me a call. Shoot me a message. I'm on Instagram.
And you know who you're doing business with. So that's awesome. Hey.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tyler.